Good evening. I would like to welcome you to the August 22nd, 2023 meeting of the City Plan Commission. Before we begin, I'll outline the procedure that we will follow for our public hearing. As each agenda item is called, the applicant or his or her representatives and persons for the request will be allowed to speak. Then the person against the request will be allowed to speak. If there's opposition to the request, the applicant will be allowed to make a short rebuttal. All persons wishing to speak need to come to the microphone at the front of the room. Please state your name and address for the record. All statements made should be relevant to agenda item and be limited to 3 minutes. If there are several persons in favor of or opposed to a request, we encourage you to allow 1 or 2 persons to act as spokesperson for the group. If you like, a spokesperson for a group may request that the group stand and be recognized. While public discourse is very important to the commission, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from this meeting any person while addressing the commission or while attending the commission meeting making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, who becomes boisterous or making unauthorized remarks from the audience, stomping of feet, whistles, yells, or similar demonstrations. The commission members have reviewed each of these items in a previous work session. The recommendations we make tonight to the City Council will be based on the work session and the information provided by staff, as well as any additional information presented tonight. After completing the hearing on each item, the Commission will consider action on the item. The action taken tonight on these items will be in the form of a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will also conduct a hearing on these items, which will be held Tuesday, September 19th, 2023 in the Bosque Theater of the Waco Convention Center, 100 Washington Avenue. The record and recommendation of the Plan Commission and new testimony will be considered by the council at that time. The first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of our June 27th, 2023 work session and business meetings and July 25th, 2023 work session and business meetings. Are there any changes or additions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Two very minor changes in your announcement. One of the items, the agriculture ordinance, will be considered at the September 5th meeting of the City Council. And second, that the plats will not be recommendations to council.
Okay. For those of y'all that didn't hear, 2 changes will be that our plats are no longer recommendations to City Council, and that the agricultural ordinance change will go, you said September, I'm sorry, 5th council meeting. So, okay, the first item on our agenda today are subdivision plats. What is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. We have 2 plats tonight. We'll do the first one as a public hearing on the final plat and construction plans of the Cameron Park Pocket neighborhood. Staff does recommend approval with conditions, and those are included with your packets.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak tonight? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, we'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval with conditions on the final plat and construction plans. We will entertain discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve per the city staff recommendation with edits and recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vickers, second by Mr. Ramos. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen? Aye. Rouse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Harden? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
What is the recommendation of city staff for our second plat?
Yes, sir. Our second plat is a public hearing on the preliminary plat of the Cypress Village Addition. Staff does recommend approval of this plat with no conditions.
We'll open our public hearing on this item. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak? State your name and address and comments to the commission.
Good evening, Jacob Bell with Walker Partners, 823 Washington Avenue. We are the design and survey firm representing this project. We're happy to answer any questions you or the public have.
Any questions for Mr. Bell? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? We'll close our public hearing. We'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Briscoe. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen. Aye. Rouse.
Aye.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yes. Arlen. Yes. Harris.
Yes.
Jefferson.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Vickers.
Aye, aye.
All right, in the case of Z-23-34, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, before we start, the first three zoning cases, which are numbers 3 through 5 on your agenda, are all special permits for short-term rentals, and I'll have the same findings, so I would like to read those findings first and then go through all the cases individually. The findings and recommendation are for approval of the special permits, subject to the special provisions and conditions, and based on the following findings. 1, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. 2, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. 3, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic, congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. 4, the available community facilities and services included, including the road systems providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. These findings are required for the granting of a special permit as per Section 28-122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance. The first case is a public hearing on request from Cynthia Young for short-term rental type 1 in R1B district for property located at 121 Waters Drive. Planning Services mailed out 30 notices. We have 1 return in favor. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions based on the findings required for the granting of special permit as per Section 28-122 of City of Waco zoning ordinance as previously read into the record.
We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here?
Thank you and good evening. So I am looking to make my house into an Airbnb. I was born and live in that area. That house I grew up in. My parents purchased the house in 1963, and we've had that house ever since. They passed 2 years ago, and I purchased the property from my siblings because I want to keep my homestead in the neighborhood. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to rent it out on a permanent basis because we like to come back home, have family functions and things of that nature. Now, as far as the Airbnb, I'm very particular. Applicants or residents who would like to live in the property for a few days, they will have background checks. I don't want any noise, or there will be a specified time. So there are going to be some guidelines, and it will be posted. And I've talked to everyone in the neighborhood, and they have all agreed and have approved and are okay with the Airbnb being there. I'm not trying to make a ruckus for our neighborhood or anything, but I just want to, we have property in that neighborhood that's going to be homesteads for a lot of people because parents are dying off. That's an old neighborhood, and I want to keep it that way. So I'm just asking that we approve it and send it on. I know it might be some oppositions, but my parents, my father, like there's a gate there. My father, Mr. Jackson, and other men of the neighborhood during that time, they are the ones who proposed to put that gate between Sherman Manor and River Oaks so that we don't have a lot of traffic going in and out. So I'm committed to my neighborhood.
Thank you. Any questions for, is it Ms. Young?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Ms. Young? Hi. Are you living in that residence currently and planning?
I have my kids live in Dallas
Uh-huh.
and Houston.
Yeah.
I'm back and forth.
Okay.
Because I'm spending time with them, so I'm back and forth to my house.
Great, thank you.
And you say you're back and forth, but when you're in Waco, is this your residence, this property here? Okay.
You understand that the type of short-term rental you're applying for, you or someone on your behalf has to be staying at the house while you rent it? Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, Ms. Young. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? If you could come down, state your name and address and your comments to the commission.
Hello, my name is Jean Boone. I'm a resident of 209 Faulkner Lane, River Oaks neighborhood, and that's the neighborhood where Ms. Young resides. And that is a historic neighborhood, River Oaks, and I've lived there for approximately 30 years, and in the East Waco neighborhood, almost 50 years. And we're very proud of our neighborhood, East Waco. And it is a nice neighborhood, and we intend to keep it that way. It is a welcoming neighborhood, and it is a stable neighborhood. We recognize what we have, and there are other neighbors that would want to do that at some point that have talked about doing Airbnb as well. So it's a way for a stream of income for some of us retirees. And we have talked about it, and so this may be the first one that comes along, but I don't think it's going to be the last one. And we may even eventually have some, what do they call them, mother-in-law suites. So we're doing things that they're doing on the other side of town as well, so don't look upon it strange, but we want to keep boundaries and limits as well. But we're going to do the same type of things they do on the other side of the river as well, and we can do it with boundaries and limits as well. Thank you.
Is anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, before we close the public hearing, any questions for the applicant or anyone else? Okay, we'll close,
Question. So, Ms. Boone, were you in opposition of it or? In favor, okay.
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 We'll close our public hearing. We will entertain discussion or a motion.
Approve in accordance with the city staff findings.
Motion by Mr. Lane, second by Ms. Briscoe. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission. Aye.
Yes.
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 In the case of Z-23-35, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Haley and Jordan Gandy for a short-term rental type 1 in an R1B district for property located at 4100 Evergreen Circle. Planning Services mailed out 27 notices and had no return. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the special provisions and conditions based on the findings required for granting a special permit as per section 28-122 of the City of Waco's zoning ordinances previously read into the record.
We'll open our public hearing. If you could state your name and address and comments to the commission.
Haley Gandy, 4100 Evergreen Circle. Happy to answer any questions. We are applying for the type 1 where we would be residing in the home while we host people at our house.
Any questions for the applicant? Any? Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, we will close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff, and we will entertain a motion.
Approve?
Motion by Mr. Vickers, second by Mr. Farhado. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Aye.
Browse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
In the case of Z-23-36, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, this is a public hearing on a request from Albert Manigo for a special permit for short-term rental type 1 in an R1B district for property located at 4225 Kendall Lane. Planning Services mailed out 20 notices and had 2 returned, 1 opposed and 1 with comments. Planning Services recommends approval of the special permit subject to the provisions and conditions based on the findings required for the granting of a special permit as per section 28-122 of the City of Waco zoning ordinance previously read into the record.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak tonight? Is there anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff. We'll entertain a motion.
Approval based on staff findings?
Motion by Mr. Embry, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Aye.
Browse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
In the case of Z-23-39, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the request is to rezone from O3 to R2, property located at 1622 James Avenue, filed by Robert Curley. We did receive a request to withdraw this item, so we would need a vote to accept that withdrawal. Staff
Great.
recommends approval of that.
Excellent. We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Anyone here to speak in opposition on the request? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. We have a request by the applicant to withdraw, so we'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I'd like to motion to accept a request to withdraw.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ramos, second by Mr. Smith for the withdrawal. Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Aye.
Rouse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson? Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
In the case of Z-23-40, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Members of the commission, the request is filed by Adrian Dubose on behalf of Yours Truly Custom Homes LLC and the City of Waco to rezone properties located at 1203, 1209, 1217, and 1233 Elm Avenue from C3 zoning to O3 zoning. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zone change upon the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan and the Imagine Waco, a plan for greater downtown. The public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O3 zoning district. The properties meet all the area and width requirements for the O3 zoning district, and the proposed O3 zoning is low-intensity mixed-use zoning district that is compatible with the surrounding area. We mailed out 52 notices and received 0 comments back.
We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak? Come on down, just state your name and address and comments to the commission.
Good evening, Adrian DeBose with Yours Truly Custom Homes. The property in reference is 1203 Elm Street and 1217 Elm Street.
Excellent.
Just here to answer any questions or see if I can help in any kind of way.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you, Ms. DeBose. Anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on this item? All right, we'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff, and we'll entertain a motion.
I recommend approval based on staff findings. Second.
Motion by Ms. Briscoe, second by Ms. Jefferson. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen? Browse? Yes. Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo? Yes.
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
In the case of Z-23-41, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the request is filed by Teresa Almanza of 3012 and 3020 Bosque Boulevard. Request to rezone from R1B and R2 to O3 zoning. Staff recommends approval of this request to change from R1B and R2 to O3 based on the following findings. The proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. The public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O3 district. The properties meet all the area and width requirements for the O3 zoning district. The proposed O3 zoning is low-intensity, mixed-use zoning that is compatible with the surrounding area, and the proposed O3 zoning brings the existing commercial building into conformance with the zoning ordinance. 41 notices were mailed, and we received 2 returned.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing on this item. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak tonight? Is anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Is there anyone here opposed to this item? We'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff, and I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we recommend approval per staff findings.
Motion by Mr. Browse, second by Mr. Lane. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Yes.
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
In the case of ABD-23-7, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. This is a public hearing on request from Walker Partners on behalf of Brazos River Capital for the abandonment of, 2 portions of Pleasant Street right-of-way between Taylor Avenue and the existing St. Louis Southwestern Railroad Company right-of-way, described as a 1.366 acre Pleasant Street right-of-way abandonment tract, being a portion of Pleasant Street right-of-way with a 75-foot width and a portion of Taylor Street right-of-way with a variable width, located southeast of Taylor Avenue and northwest of the portion of Pecan Street abandoned by City of Waco Ordinance number 1992-46 and located southwest of Lot 1, Block 1 of the E&T addition to the City of Waco, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded in volume 1713, page 436 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and located northeast of Lot 2, Block 1 of the E&T addition to the City of Waco, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded in volume 1859, page 170 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and B, a 75-foot wide, 0.609 acre Pleasant Street right-of-way abandonment tract, being a portion of Pleasant Street right-of-way with a 75-foot width, located southeast of a portion of Pecan Street abandoned by City of Waco Ordinance number 1992-43 and northwest of the St. Louis Southwestern Railroad Company right-of-way with a 75-foot width, and located between blocks 29 and 33 of the H&T CRR addition to East Waco according to the plat thereof recorded in volume 121, page 98 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and 3 20-foot wide alleys located south of Peach Street and near the existing St. Louis Southwestern Railroad Company right-of-way, described as a 20-foot wide 0.02 acre alley right-of-way abandonment tract, being all of the 20-foot wide alley in Block 34 of the H&T CRR addition to East Waco, according to the plat thereof recorded in volume 121, page 98 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. B, a 20-foot wide 0.135 acre alley right-of-way abandonment tract being all the 20-foot wide alley in Block 29 of the H&T CRR addition to East Waco according to the plat thereof, recorded in volume 121, page 98 of the deed records, McLennan County, Texas. And C, a 20-foot wide, .161 acre alley, right-of-way abandonment tract being all of the 20-foot wide alley in Block 33 of the H&T CRR addition to East Waco, according to the plat thereof, recorded in volume 121, page 98 of the deed records, McLennan County, Texas. Staff does recommend approval of the abandonments based on the following findings and conditions. The findings are that public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. Utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. And then one portion of Pleasant Street is included in the deed to the owner. However, the right-of-way has never been formally abandoned. We do have three conditions. One, a 20-foot sanitary sewer line easement shall be retained where facilities are located in Pleasant Street. Two, a 20-foot general utility easement shall be retained where Encore facilities are located in Pleasant Street. Right-of-way, and three, applicant must provide updated exhibits from a registered professional land surveyor for each adjoining property owner for quitclaim deed preparation and submit a re-subdivision plat.
Thank you. Does anybody need to hear that again?
Would you mind repeating?
Hearing, is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak tonight? Is anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? I'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval for the abandonments by city staff, and we will entertain a motion.
That we recommend approval based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Ramos. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Browse? Yes. Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Plain? Yes. Ramos?
Yes.
Smith? Yes. Vickers?
Yes.
I didn't vote. Alan?
We didn't catch you on there. Allen?
Aye.
Says aye.
In the case of ABD-23-8, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing request from WCW Waco 2 LLC for abandonment of two easements within property described as Lot 25, Block 228 Reynolds Edition, known as 901 West Waco Drive. Said easements described as one, a 9-foot wide, .033 acre storm easement abandonment tract out of Lot 25, Block 228 Reynolds Edition in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas. According to the plat thereof, recorded under McLennan County Clerk's Document 2011-02-3440 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, and two, a 15-foot wide, .054 acre sanitary sewer easement abandonment tract out of Lot 25, Block 228 Reynolds Edition in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, according to the plat thereof recorded under McLennan County Clerk's Document 2011-02-3440 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas. Staff does recommend approval of the abandonment based on the following findings. Utility access for surrounding properties not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the easements, and the storm and sewer facilities have been relocated. We did send out 10 notices on this one and 0 returned.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing. Is the applicant or his or her representative here to speak tonight? Is anyone else here to speak in favor on this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? We'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff, and we'll entertain a motion.
Move that we recommend approval based on staff findings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen? Aye. Browse?
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Yes.
Fajardo? Yes. Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Plain? Yes. Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
In the case of ABD-23-9, what is the recommendation of city staff?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Browse is a co-applicant on this, and we did receive an affidavit of substantial interest, so he'll be disqualified from this case. This is a public hearing on a request from Judson Griffiths and Dominique Browse for the abandonment of a 10-foot wide alley located between property described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Griffiths Addition, known as 3625 Castle Avenue, and property described as Lot D11, Block F, the Jean Lanier tract, known as 3609 Herwall Avenue. Said alley described as being a .03 acres of land in the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of a 10-foot wide alley in the Castle Heights addition to the city of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat of said addition recorded in volume 894, page 34 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Staff does recommend approval of the abandonment based on the following findings and condition: that the public use of the right-of-way is not required for proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area, and the utility access for surrounding property is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of the right-of-way. And the one condition be to provide a 10-foot easement for the water main up to and including the meter, or the city will move the meter at no cost to the customer to the frontage of Grand Delay. The customer will have to do the plumbing work within the property for the new meter to the existing plumbing at their cost. We did mail out 16 notices and had one returned in favor.
Thank you. We will open our public hearing. Is the applicant or anyone here to speak in favor on this item? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, we'll close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval by city staff, and we will entertain a motion.
We recommend approval based on staff finding.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr.
Dr. Vickers, thank you.
Dr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Okay, we have a few ordinance amendments for consideration on our agenda tonight. What is the first one before us?
Members of the commission, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amendment to Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Waco, Texas, for the purpose of adding a definition for accessory dwelling unit, determining the zoning districts in which accessory dwelling unit would be allowed as a permitted use, and establishing design and development standards for accessory dwelling unit. We did have a lot of discussion on this item at our work session. I think there's still a little bit of work that needs to happen, so we would recommend that this be continued to our September meeting to let us work on that.
All right, we'll open our public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this agenda item of accessory dwelling units? Okay. Well, we have a recommendation to continue this until our September meeting. Unless there's discussion up here or specific requests for staff, we'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I think I'd just like to say that I think one thing that we need to address prior to voting on this, I'm going to recommend we table it until the next meeting, but one of the reasons is I believe the language under Section 8 occupancy needs to be revisited, specifically the existence of the ADU, and then the requirement that a covenant, in addition to an affidavit, be required. And I also think we need to determine whether the definition of ADU encompasses the spirit of what I believe the ordinance is trying to promote in regards to renting the ADU separate from the ownership.
We just need a motion on that, or is that?
Yeah, I think your motion just to continue until the September meeting.
So then I move that we continue this to the September meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for continuance by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion?
I just have a couple other thoughts that I just want to put on the record. So on parking, one of the things we actually didn't get to in our work session, but it says 2 requirements shall apply. Parking access will be the same as the primary unit's access, but when it abuts an alley, it may be provided from the alley. So does that mean it has to be from the alley, or is that one of those two need to happen? I don't know if you are following me there, but I would like to massage that a little bit next time we meet. And then, the other thing, was this is gonna be across all single family for R1, R2, R3, O1, O2, O3, anywhere a single family unit is allowed to be built. But I don't know the exact answer to this, I just wanna look into this more in detail, but in the event that someone owns a single family home, say in an O1 district, can they rent out the single family home and the ADU without the owner occupant requirement? And I would venture to say that if it's in a commercial district or commercial zoning, they should be able to do that. Whereas we're more protecting like the R1, maybe even the R3, like the more residential areas from just renting out both units. So those are two more thoughts.
Any additional comments before we vote to continue? Please poll the commission.
Allen?
We're
Voting
voting
to
to
continue
continue?
to the
Yeah,
September.
yeah.
Right.
Rouse?
Yes.
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 Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, what is the next ordinance amendment before us today?
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amendment to Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Waco, Texas, for the purposes of adding a definition for auto sales and adding auto sales as allowed use by special permit in the C2 Community Commercial District. Staff does recommend approval of the ordinance change.
All right, we'll open our public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this update to the ordinance amendment? Okay, we will close our public hearing. Recommendation of approval of the ordinance update by city staff, and we will entertain a motion.
We recommend approval based on staff finding.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Lane. Any final discussion? Please poll the commission.
Allen?
Aye.
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry? Fajardo?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
And what is the final ordinance amendment before us today?
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing to consider an ordinance amendment to Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, for the purposes of adding a definition for agricultural uses and determining that the zoning districts in which agricultural uses will be allowed as a permitted use or special permit use.
Thank you. We'll open our public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on this agenda item? We will close our public hearing. We have a recommendation of approval of the ordinance change by city staff, and we will entertain a motion.
I move that we recommend approval based on staff finding.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Vickers. Any final discussion? Dr. Vickers, excuse me. Please poll the commission.
Aye.
Yes.
Briscoe?
Yes.
Embry?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Yes.
Ramos?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
All right, the final agenda item for us tonight is Mr. Fajardo is going to be leaving us after this this meeting, and so we just want to present him with a little token of appreciation for his work on the commission as well as everything you do in the community. And so we thank you for being a part of it. Wish you all the best and all the stuff you have coming down the pike. So
Thank you.
that's great. Say anything.
Yeah, I just want to say I didn't deserve the opportunity to serve on this board for the past 2 years. But I believe that with the people that we have beside me, they've taught me so much, learning, they're very smart, intellectual. And I'm really grateful for being beside you. And so I'm grateful for the next person that's stepping up into this role, representing District 2. And so just again, thank you for allowing me to do this and be able to serve in this capacity.
Okay, that concludes our agenda for this evening. Our meeting is adjourned.